Brian, tell me about the acquisition.
Thanks for asking. Really excited. Prior to sitting down with you here, we are about to ink a deal, but it's done to acquire a firm out on Long Island. I'm based out of Westchester, New York, and New York City. And about a year ago, I had run into a colleague. I hadn't seen her in a long time at an event. We were just kind of chit-chatting, and somehow it came up, and I jokingly said, well, when you're ready to retire, let me know. And I got a phone.
Like off the cuff.
Off the cuff. Like, she told me she had just turned 60, and I was like, what are you kidding me? Yeah. You didn't just turn 60, and we were talking, and I kind of off the cuff said it. And she called me shortly after that and said, were you serious? I said, let's have coffee. And it took a little bit of time, and I think it was more, I was ready for it. I've haven't quite done an acquisition before. I was going into partnership with somebody previously who unfortunately had passed away. But with this individual, she has a firm. She's a solo practice, had a couple like per diem attorneys working for her, a bunch of employees, had done very well for herself over the years, and 2 areas, workers' compensation, Social Security, and I was really looking for something in Social Security, and that's her real forte and specialty. And we started talking, and we were able to come to terms, and she'll be basically doing almost an earn-out, working for a period of time, and we'll be acquiring the name, acquiring clients. Well, they have to sign up with us type of thing, but they're really her clients, and it's really exciting.
What's the process been like from like an emotional standpoint?
It's an interesting emotional process, and for me it's interesting because my history. So real quick, and I tell this, my kids hate this story. I say it too much, but basically back in law school, and I just got my 30th anniversary from the New York State Bar.
Whoa.
The New York State Bar said being an attorney.
That's a big number.
So I was like 30. And so I was in law school working for literally a Court Street attorney, hated the guy, and I quit one day. And I'm out to dinner with my in-laws, and I'm telling my father-in-law, he says, come work for me while you look for a job. And the joke is I'm still looking for a job. So I started out in a family practice. So I learned a lot right away. Within, let's see, so 1995. So, by 2003, he was retiring. In fact, he had another partner. He was trying to set up a deal with me and the other partner. He ended up suing the other partner, kicking him out. So my first experience with having a partner was a lawsuit.
Wow.
So my only partner after that was my father-in-law, and I'm like, I'm never doing this crap again. With a partner. So for years, I've had different joint ventures and tried to do things. So this one was a little, second guessing myself. Do I really want to do this? How can I have more control? I like to be very fair, but at the same time, it's like I need to have some control. I had also mentioned I had a partner, or a to-be partner, who had passed away about 4 years ago, and we were just in the process of merging our practices. He had no employees, but had a big marketing background as an attorney. So this is the first one where I'm really bringing in some employees. We're bringing in a caseload, more workers' compensation and a lot of Social Security cases, with the focus being to develop our Social Security practice. And so I did a few things different this time. It took a little bit of time, but I also finally said to myself, enough is enough. Let's really start talking terms. I also hired an attorney. So I have a business attorney. Had great guys over the years, but I don't know if you've ever dealt with this. Like in New York, these guys are just kind of old school. Yeah. Here's how you do it, this and that. And I never felt they had that kind of entrepreneurial business mind.
Sure.
They knew all the details. But I would call this attorney up and be like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this in New Jersey. Oh, well, can you do that? Well, that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's why I'm calling you. Yeah, exactly.
I'm paying you $600 an hour. So I ended up actually finding I will call her a fractional general counsel. She comes out of the general counsel world. She has a solo practice, and she advertises herself as basically like a fractional CFO or fractional general counsel.
So when you said you hired an attorney, you weren't talking about just you hired an attorney for this temporary thing. You hired a fractional attorney that could go on as long as she does a great job for forever.
So yeah, let me be clear. So I have the practice I'm acquiring. That attorney is coming and is going to be working for us.
Sure, yeah.
But I hired a attorney, and it was on a project basis, but I gave her a retainer, and before we even got this deal done, I had a couple little things that had to be done. I said, why am I doing it? And this was over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of bad. I said, I feel so bad, but I'm getting pressure from this person, and we just got to kind of wrap this thing up. And she responded, not a problem. I'm working a couple hours a day, even though I'm away, this and that. The next morning I wake up, in my inbox, I had this little agreement and her analysis of the little agreement, and I got it all signed off, got it all taken care of before the end of the year. I said, wow, having a real general counsel available is huge.
Yeah.
And it's a mistake I've made in the past where I try to negotiate or do things, and that's not what I do. It's not what you do. I can read a contract, I can read a will, I can do certain things, but in my business, I need that outside input. And the really cool thing was, her name's Haley. One of the things that she did was, in this other agreement I had shared space with somebody, and we were, getting rid of the company we had created to share the space.
Gotcha.
We separated.
Smart move, by the way.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I guess I can say this. So I out-Trumped Trump, and this is not political. So basically, we had this huge space.
Huge.
And I shared it with this other person.
It's the biggest space you've ever seen. Bigger than any space.
Huge. Oh, man. You killed me here. And we went our separate ways around COVID. And what we ended up doing was we built a wall. But he took some extra space. So we built a wall. He took some of my extra space. I renegotiated my side of the lease. I found out he never renegotiated his side.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So built a wall, and the other guy paid for it. So
not too bad.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
So, but the point is, we had this we wanted an agreement and be done with it. And it was really nice to get a red line copy back where she said, you need these 2 things, and these other 4 things just depends on how much you really want to fight it. It's not a big deal. So we ended up at a great compromise, got this thing done. So I'm using her for the term sheet, the asset, and any ethical issues surrounding this. And I'm excited because it's working out well. And I think in the future, a lot of things. Oh, I'm going to go into an agreement with this attorney. Sorry about that. I'm not supposed to knock this. And it's great to have on board, and it's worth every penny because you don't want to spend your time just...
Yeah, I've never considered bringing on some sort of fractional legal counsel. I think that's awesome. By the way, it's okay to talk with your hands too. We were talking about that. It's better actually. It makes you more likable. There's lots of studies on this. But what is it like negotiating with someone that you are bringing into the fold? That can be tricky.
Yeah, I mentioned before, you want to be. There's a control issue, right?
Sure,
you want to have control, and rightly so, especially after 30 years of this. I realize.
And they don't want to be controlled.
Most people don't want to be controlled.
Yep.
And you don't actually know what the other person really wants.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an arm's length transaction compared to in the past, Mike, my buddy who had passed away, over time, he was a consultant for us for years through our business coach. And then we decided, we became friends, and then we're working together. I've had other people who I knew as friends and tried to bring in, it just doesn't work. I think Chris Nicolasian talked about that in his podcast episode. And this was an arm's length transaction. So part of me was trying to figure out, I know what I want. And I want to be tough negotiating, but at the same time, I don't want to lose the opportunity, even though I know other opportunities will come along. And I think overall, looking at it, there are a couple pieces I probably could have been a little tougher on, and I think I did pretty well with some other pieces. And now it's kind of putting the screws to it, or whatever they say.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because like my guess is that you probably could have gotten a better deal. She probably could have gotten a better deal, but if you go too far in this arrangement, then it just all blows up, because there is the part where there's the earn off, and you got to work together. And if she pushes too hard or you push too hard, there's going to be a lot of resentment there that's not going to make that relationship work very well.
Yeah, I think one of the important things is to also try to see it from their perspective. And I said to her one time during the negotiation, I said, look, you have built an incredibly successful business. One of her things is she just didn't want to deal with the business aspect of it anymore.